I was very excited, of course. Yeah, it was the biggest gig in town, you know, and by town I mean the world, you know. So the fact that they made a real they made no secret of the fact they really wanted me to do it, which was very gratifying. It was very gratifying, and they were always supportive in the whole process leading up to it. They were, you know, they let me know all the way through that they wanted me to do it, which is a huge vote of confidence, which I was very grateful for. And I really wanted to do it, and the fact that it eventually looked like for a period it looked like I might not be able to do it. So when I got here in January 11, I was raring to go. I was delighted, obviously.
I mean, I think it was very interesting, sort of, because I was a huge fan of the Rings films, and you hear all of the stories that came out of the process of the filming, and the way that the characters were developed and the care that was taken from the filmmakers to make those characters come to life and shine in that way. And knowing that you're coming to join that family was really exciting, and we really were made to feel like part of the family. And you know, working alongside characters and actors from the Rings films was amazing. And actually seeing it for the first time yesterday, when you first set eyes on Frodo and old Bilbo, and then the connection when you come onto the screen, I wanted to applaud. I just think it was amazing. Really,
it's nicely done,
beautiful.
isn't it?
Yeah, really beautifully done.
Well, it was a bit of a shock for me, actually, strangely, because I was only expecting to come back to reprise the role of Gollum, and I thought I was going to be back in New Zealand for about 2 weeks. And then about 4 weeks before shooting started, Peter emailed me and said, "Would I like to come down and direct the second unit?" So it suddenly became a year and a half's work. So it was an extraordinary and very unexpected journey for me. You know, it was wonderful to come back and see the incredible crew that had all worked on Lord of the Rings, and you know, they're all a little bit older and have got children hanging off them, but mostly people who are, you know, the same. But actually, crucially, it was working, you know, coming to work with a new cast, a really fantastic cast, and very, very much wanting to work with Martin for a long time, and to get the chance to play that scene, that seminal scene out, you know, with you was brilliant. So it was great. Well, Gollum is a very conflicted. He's become totally possessed and racked by the power of this ring, and he has a weak personality, but he's not necessarily an evil person. And he was a hobbit. He's an ex-hobbit. He spent 540 years being completely madly kind of obsessed by this, addicted to this ring and its power and love, and it's the only thing he ever cares about. And I had to kind of forget everything that happens ahead of him in Lord of the Rings. So, but he has a schizophrenic personality, and there's a very dominant side, a very visceral dominant side, and a slightly naive, innocent side. But that's very kind of fluid and changes. And we actually get to see in this film, you get to see probably the most significant thing that ever happens to him, which is the loss of the thing that he loves the most.
Bilbo is a kind of reluctant adventurer, I suppose. We join him at the start of the film. He's a person who knows exactly where his life is headed, and he's very happy with it. And he has this intercession of the dwarves and Gandalf, who say, "Come on this adventure," which he's very reticent about, but that eventually he does go on and learns everything that he could possibly learn and more, and have more danger. You know, as a man, he would never have had a fight with anyone in his life, and there he is. He's having to kill and avoid being killed, and you know, it's a really it's the biggest possible journey for him to go on, and as has been noted by everyone, based on Tolkien's experience of World War I, you know, where ordinary, normal, very young men went on the most horrendous trip that it's possible to make, and it coloured him very obviously, as it would anyone in war, and you see a bit of that in Gollum. You know, he's kind of going to fight the good or bad fight in the case of World War I, but he's going to fight for something greater or other than himself, and that means that he might inevitably face death and face killing. You know, which is two not very nice things to face. So he grows and he matures pretty quickly on the journey. He's thrust totally out of his comfort zone, where all he's cared about is his brocade and his sausages, to something else where it's life and death pretty much every day of his adventure. So it's a huge arc for him, as we actors like to say. Totally, yeah. He sees the Took side of him, not the Baggins side of him. The Took side of him, or the more adventurous wing of his family. And there is that in Bilbo that's been laying dormant, but Gandalf remembers him as a small boy whose eyes widened in awe at stories and adventures, and he knew that there was still something in Bilbo that had that, but it had just become very... it had died in Bilbo, but then Gandalf resurrected it.
Well, actually, I need to correct you, because the one thing that Gandalf sees in you is your smell, because that's crucial to the quest. Is that the hobbits smell different to dwarves, and the dragon won't recognise the smell of hobbit, but he hasn't told you that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so Thorin, he's just all about the quest, and he's kind of in a now or never situation. He's his people have lost their homeland from Smaug desecrating the mountain and Dale, and his grandfather and his father have attempted to go back and right that wrong, and they've both his grandfather's lost his life and his father has disappeared. So he's in a position where if he doesn't do it today, then it will never happen, and the line of Durin will die. So he kind of enters the story with this great burden on his shoulders, and is persuaded by Gandalf to go and check out this hobbit, because Gandalf has a strategy that he thinks will enable the quest to succeed, and Thorin is very sceptical of it. And it kind of shapes their relationship as you go along the road. Immensely. We still are.
That's lovely. It's really, it's because it's a huge job. It's a huge undertaking, and the duration of time is, it's longer than most jobs you will ever do. So you have to. I mean, if you weren't enjoying it, it would be hell. Because you're doing it for 18 months. But it was a joy. It was really, really lovely. You're playing some of the most beloved characters in English literature and now world literature. So it's very, very lucky for us. Yeah.
Well, the process as such is sort of neither here nor there in a way. It's not about the technology. The technology is the least sort of important thing in a way. It's about finding the character in exactly the same way that we actors play our roles. It's all about finding an emotional backbone to the character, as an inner life, physicality. There's no difference in the way of approaching a performance captured role to a conventional live action role. So the technologies, I don't really think about the technology. What it has done is become more transparent, in fact, because now we don't have to go back and repeat it on a performance capture stage at a later date, which is what we had to do on Lord of the Rings. We're able to just shoot the scenes once, and it's exactly what happens, and what Martin gives to me I receive, and what I give to Martin he receives, and therefore they're very much more connected. The CG performance is much more connected in that sense. But I mean, certainly in terms of the technology, working as a director, working as a second unit director, that was a huge journey for me. Massive. Big challenges, and shooting at 48 frames a second, and with stereo, things I'd never done before. So it was very, very exciting.
I found him incredibly succinct, actually, and somebody that didn't really obsess over the technology in our world. So he was very much about character and story, and was very gentle with that, and gave us space to play and experiment, and made it feel very intimate on set. So I felt that really helped me to develop a character.
Yeah, he's interested in possibilities, and he's interested in choice, and he wants it you know, because he's got to be. He wants to have fun the same way we do, and he wants to be surprised and excited in the same way that we want that. So he encourages it and sort of creates an environment where you do feel you can play, which is nice.
I do. I mean, that's I think partly why Peter asked me to come down and direct the second unit was because I'd been through been involved in the Middle Earth universe before, because I kind of feel like I understand his sensibility as a filmmaker and how he supports performance with camera. And we had a very wonderful kind of working relationship. We were very honest with each other, and he would watch everything that was going on the second unit and give notes, and in the same way that he would encourage the actors to give choice in performance, and was asking me to do that. He was asking me to do that as a director, and he gave a great note to me once when we first started, which was every single take. You can don't just try and copy it exactly. Always try and improve every single take in some way. Find something different and new in each take, every take you do. And the way that we all worked was and a modus operandi that we had with Pete was rolling resets, where very quickly the actors reset and go straight into the scene again. I mean, it's a fantastically liberating way of working, because you can take chances without a sort of anxiety building up to a take. Because there's a whole rigmarole of the clapperboard and all of that, and it can be very tense making, but actually rolling resets is a very relaxing way of actually getting back into a scene.
It gives the floor to the actors, and it keeps the floor with the actors, which is, I've never done that before, but it was really great.
It's awful. No, it's lovely. That's what I meant to say.
Yeah, it's a fantastic place. These films could only have been made in this country.